And we want to say a warm welcome to everyone here. Please do add your name and community in the chat. We are really grateful that you are showing up today to talk about your community and how we can support your community in your downtown. Is my audio okay? I forgot to ask you that before, Anne. Great. Well, before Anne and I do introductions, I'll just mention we're going to have 1 hour together, and we are recording. You'll get the recording and the slide deck, as well as links to any resources that we mention in a follow-up email. And if you have questions at any point, please take yourselves off mute and interrupt us. We would love that. And we'll also be monitoring the chat, so if that's more comfortable, you can add things that way. Otherwise, if you're listening, probably keep yourself on mute just to eliminate background noise for everybody else. My name is Sylvie PK. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a program director with Maine Downtown Center at MDF.
Great. And I'm Ann Ball, program director at the Maine Downtown Center. It gets luckily to work with Sylvie in helping our community. So we're so excited to be here. EJ, I am going to put you on the spot because there may be times in this conversation where you will have something amazing to share. EJ is the Economic Development Director in the city of Old Town, and he is one of our downtown affiliates.
Our newest.
Hello.
Right. Yeah. So lots of real life experience coming out of Old Town for how this program works on a day-to-day basis. And that's really what we want to share with you today so that you really get an understanding of what the program is all about. And I'll turn it back to Sylvie, and we're going to tag team. And I don't know whether we were doing introductions or we're just looking at everybody in the chat. It looks like everybody's signed in.
Great. Yeah, we'll do it that way in the interest of time. If you're just joining us, feel free to pop your name and community in the chat. And we'll keep going. We want to, of course, thank our partners in this work. Some of these partners help us with providing technical assistance to communities across the state who are working on downtown revitalization. Some of these partners allow us to offer sub-grant programs to our member communities and lots of more support that we couldn't be doing this work without. Tonight, we are going to cover an overview of the Maine Downtown Center and Maine Development Foundation, as well as our relationship with the National Main Street Center, Main Street America. We are going to take a glimpse at a day in the life of an affiliate. So again, EJ is going to be really helpful with this portion and give you a sense of what does it mean to be an affiliate, downtown affiliate with the Downtown Center, and how does MDC, the Maine Downtown Center, help our affiliate programs as well as our municipal members. And we'll touch on both of those program membership levels. Then we'll go through the application process to become an affiliate as well as a municipal member, and then have some time for interactive discussion about what's going on in your downtown. What are you looking at? What would you hope to get out of a program like this? That kind of thing. And again, interrupt us with questions, raise a hand, come off mute, or pop something in the chat. Anne, I'll hand it over to you.
Great. So the Maine Downtown Center is housed at Maine Development Foundation, as Sylvie said, and we were founded over 40 years ago by the state legislature to do economic research, because the legislature needs kind of nonpartisan research to help them make decisions. And so that was how MDF was originally founded, and we still produce measures of growth and making Maine work, which measures of growth provides annual economic indicators on all sorts of things. It's on our website if you want to see it. Very useful document, and it's run by the Maine Economic Growth Council. And we do a lot of leadership training because we recognize that for all of our community and economic development work in the state, we need good leaders. So we train individually leaders through Leadership Maine and the Institute for Civic Leadership. EJ and I were classmates last year in the elephant class of ICL, which was great. We also train policy leaders. We take the legislature, they are going on a tour this week. They are traveling up to Holton and Aroostook County and really seeing on the ground economic and community development issues, challenges, and successes. And then Realize Maine Network is a young professionals group. There's a great chapter in Bangor, and some other chapters all around the state. And then all of our programs and partnerships, our CEO always says that the Maine Downtown Center is where like everything that MDF does plays out in real life. We need good leaders in our downtowns. We collect good data. And we are doing good economic and community development. So next slide, Sylvie. So the Main Street program really began in the National Trust for Historic Preservation almost 45 years ago, and it was in response to malls coming and starting, right? The malls were taking businesses out of the downtowns. And so the National Trust for Historic Preservation founded the National Main Street Program, and it was born there. And it is preservation and place-based economic development. And there are coordinating programs all over the country. And the Maine Downtown Center serves as the coordinator for this program. And the other thing we do in the state of Maine is we serve as a resource for any community. So in 2023, which is the last full data set we have, we served 88 different communities in Maine. They call us up and they're like, we want to know how to preserve this building, or we want to be a new downtown program, or whatever their issues are. So we do two types of things. We're the coordinator for those sites that are national main streets. We have 11, and I think we're going to go on to a national map before we go on, right, Sylvie? There we go. There are 1,200 main streets nationally, all around the country. And a lot of travelers are like, oh, I'm going to a Main Street community. It means it's walkable, it's bikeable, there's a lot to see and do. They value historic preservation and take good care of their green spaces and architecture. So it's pretty cool that there's a network this big. It's works for traveling and it works for sharing lots of amazing ideas. One more slide for me, I think. The 4 points is what all of our communities are working on. This is the over 40-year-old approach to economic development that's used. The 4 points are economic vitality, design, organization, and promotion. And anything that's done in these communities is grounded in what does the community want and what does the market, what would the market support? It really is a dual role for how communities decide what they're doing. And everything is measured qualitatively and quantitatively. And I will say it's pretty obvious what these things are, but I'll tell you the 4 points. Design is like preservation and signage and crosswalks and planters downtown and signage. Did I already say that? Yes. And economic vitality is like a good economic mix. You know, do you have 8 hair salons or do you have a good mix? And we do have some communities that like have too much cannabis, and then some that said we don't want any cannabis. So we're always like trying to help our communities with what's a good, healthy economic mix, and also have relationships with those downtown businesses and bring them together because they know what they need and they are living everyday life in your downtown. Promotion is bringing events and people downtown. Really, what can you do to bring people downtown? Is it, you know, a running race? Is it pop-up markets, farmers markets, brew festivals, Wine and Stein and Gardner, those kind of things? How do you bring people together? And then organization is who runs it, like the people that are actually able to raise money, recruit volunteers, and take care of the organization. So those are the 4 points. And our main streets, which are fairly sophisticated, have 4 standing committees. Our affiliates, we ask them to touch the 4 points, and we can talk about how that works, but they don't have to have 4 standing committees, but sometimes they have 1 committee, and we work with them to make sure they're paying attention to those 4 points. And I think I'm turning it back to you.
That's it. So the downtown center is really working to foster downtown revitalization that's dynamic and community-based and results in economic development and business growth and job creation, as well as historic preservation, housing revitalization, cultural enhancement. And at the core of our approach to revitalization is really a commitment to creating places of shared prosperity, equal access to opportunity, and inclusive engagement. this is our mission statement. And the data on the screen is some of the stats that we have over the last 25 years since our program started. The reinvestment ratio is for every dollar invested in the downtown program, there's a $23 return. And these statistics are tracked annually, actually twice a year, by our nationally accredited Main Streets. So this doesn't even include all of the work that affiliates are doing. And the volunteer hours of this program are always important to highlight. 376,000 volunteer hours over the last 25 years. It has been logged by Main Streets. Again, this doesn't include affiliate volunteer hours, certainly municipal member volunteer hours, and it's really the foundation of this work. As Anne mentioned, that organizational point of the 4 points is all about organizing the volunteers and those community members, business owners, property owners, municipal staff, elected officials, bringing them all together. And how can they activate even more folks in the community to help revitalize downtown and grow businesses, help with facade improvements, et cetera. And on the next slide, there's one map here. We're going to take a look at this map because it has some names of the communities on it. And this features our member communities. So the blue boxes are our current municipal communities. We've got Bridgeton here on the call. Thanks for being here. And I know Winthrop had registered, but I had a call with her earlier today, and yeah, we decided she didn't need to attend. But they're current municipal members. A municipal member may be looking to ascend to become an affiliate designated community, or they may just recognize that, you know, working in that municipal membership space is right sized at this point. And we'll go into what those programs look like in a little bit. The red dots are our affiliates, and the downtown affiliates go through a more robust application process. And EJ is here from Downtown Old Town. You can see in the background there the Downtown Old Town logo on EJ's shoulder. And so we've got affiliates across the state. And then the yellow stars are our nationally certified Main Streets. And the nationally certified Main Streets, we have 11. Ellsworth is the most recent community to get this national designation, and they are meeting national accreditation standards. They have at least one full-time or full-time equivalent paid staff. Typically, they have an operating budget ranging from $80,000 to $350,000. They're functioning, you know, in this realm, like Anne mentioned, with a committee for each of those 4 points at a really high level. The affiliate program is a program where you can start getting into the real meat of this program and tracking some of the metrics that we were looking at on the last slide, like volunteer hours and some investment data. But it doesn't have to be at as robust a level as that national Main Street level. Our communities range from population sizes of 624 in Monson to 222,000 to 25,000 if you're looking at Biddeford and Brunswick. And the program really looks different in each of these different communities, as you can imagine. That's the beauty of the program. We are not coming in and saying, oh, like Kingfield, you need this program and we're going to bring it to you and plop it in, because it looks different in every place. Kingfield, we've had some great conversations so far about what are you all looking for, hoping for, struggling with in the downtown. And that's very customizable approach is something that we really value in this program, and we find really leads to great success in terms of that revitalization work. Let's see, I think Anne mentioned these things on the side here. So, Anne, anything to mention before we move on to a day in the life of an affiliate?
The only other thing that I think is important for you guys to hear, as Sylvie said, that this program is customizable. You think of Monson, and they are particularly focused on the arts and the outdoor recreation economy. So a lot of their work is really centering around those two efforts. And obviously, when you think about Kingfield, you think about outdoor recreation as well. So that's another layer of kind of the customizable piece of it, is oh, okay, how can our downtown work with the outdoor recreation economy? Like what is the synergy and what are the ways they can work together? So that's all I'll add.
That's great. So we're going to take a peek into a day in the life of an affiliate. And affiliates, as I said, work on many different projects and initiatives. And at the same time, there's always crossover. So if, EJ is looking at a farmer's market on their riverfront park, we know that, these other communities have had successes in starting up a farmer's market. And Friends of Woodford's Corner, I want to tell you the story of how they started, because I think that's sometimes a big question for folks on this call is like, well, how do we get started with this program? Friends of Woodford's Corner, before they were an affiliate community, and they are our only current neighborhood community in Portland. And they were a group of residents who wanted to clean up the train tracks, because to get to their core little business district, their corner, as they call it, they had to walk across these train tracks, and they were, old mattresses and broken furniture and appliances and a lot of trash. And the momentum gained as this group started annually cleaning up their train tracks to realize they wanted to work on more projects. They wanted to do more to bring life and investment, kind of people power to this Woodford's Corner, this core commercial space that really has a lot of neighborhoods that are right around it. And so they became an affiliate, and they gained their 501c3 status. They're now a very high functioning nonprofit, have even brought on staff, which is unusual for an affiliate to be able to support that. But they have started a farmer's market over the last 2 seasons and found a lot of success of being able to build on their initiatives. I won't go too much in depth for Woodford's Corner, and unless you want to add anything else there.
Well, the only thing I think of as relevant, especially when thinking of Bangor, is that they work really closely with the University of Southern Maine, and they have relationships with a lot of the graduate schools. Like the GIS mapping did an entire wonderful sort of mapping project related to parking. So you could really give people a sense of where to park when you come to Woodford's Corner. And then they've had other marketing interns. So they have an amazing relationship with University of Southern Maine.
Thanks. Holton is featured here in these photos, and they, a few years ago, maybe more than a few years ago, their downtown group was working on a downtown business map. And they were really trying to encourage the downtown businesses to have some coordinated open hours, and for folks who come to Holton to be able to recognize, like, okay, here's where the businesses are in the downtown. Here's a QR code for their, websites or their online presence. And this ended up providing a really awesome framework when they ended up hosting the eclipse, because they were in the path to totality, as I'm sure you are aware. They had a massive influx of folks visiting, but a lot of the work that they had done to just convene and help lines of communication between business owners, between municipality, between residents, they were that much more ready to really welcome and to have an organized welcome for their influx of visitors for this tremendous event. So it may be that your affiliate or your municipal program really gets off the ground with a cleanup. It may be a Halloween kind of event. It may be a business map. We always encourage, and National Main Street, one of their kind of mottos is incremental change. What is a small bite-sized project or program initiative of some kind that would meet a need in your downtown, and how can this group start there? And we always encourage that, small bite-sized pieces, because while it's certainly not a one-size-fits-all model, what we can do is support you in finding other communities that have done something similar. So if you're looking at, maybe a business map is a great idea, then we're going to get you some examples of them and connect you with the communities who've successfully launched those. Anne is going to touch base about more of our affiliate offerings.
So this is the way that you and your committees can really learn and engage with other people doing this work. around the state. And I will say that's definitely one of the advantages of being part of the Maine Downtown Center is the relationships and the learning that takes place. Things like our monthly optional Zoom on Friday, it's 8:30 to 9:30. It's optional, it's low pressure. Sometimes we have guests. We had the Maine Arts Commission, I think in January, come talk about a new community grant program. And they presented for 20 or 30 minutes. We might have a couple of announcements, and then we just have like open conversation with, oh, I'm struggling with this. And we have some regulars. I think Denise from Callis is a regular, and Nancy actually from Holton, regularly, Cara from Ellsworth, lots of regular people. But then we have people that just come when they can, or sometimes the topic interests their group and they're like, oh, we should really go. And periodically, Department of Economic and Community Development pops in because they get the information as well. So it's low key, low barrier. We also have an advisory council. So the Downtown Center doesn't have a board, MDF has a board, but the Downtown Center has an advisory council of 15 people, I'd say, and it's all professionals. It's engineers, architects, marketing, tourism. We have 2 Main Street directors and a representative of an affiliate. And so this group really has incredible knowledge about downtown revitalization. And we have 6 meetings a year, and 3 of them are out in the field. Last year we went to Lisbon. We did like a full, tour, talking with Ross Cunningham, the EDD, and then we shared lunch together. And then we went into our meeting, which had a hybrid option for people who couldn't make it in person. But bringing these groups to your community is a pretty unbelievable experience, because we were like, Ross, this is a terrible situation. Someone's going to hurt themselves. Or, oh, Ross's public art is awesome. So it's a really great exchange. We also host a series of webinars, Maine Downtown Institutes, and an annual awards. Those are things that our affiliates and municipalities can attend for free, or for like a small, I think the awards may be a small registration fee, but most everything is free because you're paying membership to us. So things are meant to be low barrier. We have one coming up in a couple weeks on placemaking and placekeeping. We're having CJ Oppenheiser from Friends of Congress Square Park, and then City of Westbrook from Discover Downtown Westbrook, the Main Street organization, both talking about projects they're doing in their communities. And then I think we have one coming up later in the year. It's a Downtown Institute on what about preservation of fraternal and faith organizations? A lot of our communities are really struggling with churches that are closing or fraternal organizations that are closing, and they have these historic buildings right in their communities. What are you going to do? How can you work with the developers to put together, a good funding package that'll help them convert it to housing? Or EJ, don't you have one we were talking about it the other day in Old Town that is like a computer processor in a church? Am I making that up? He's looking at me like you don't know what you're talking about.
I think you're making that up.
Come on. I did make it up then. All right. I thought Old Town had taken a site and you had like a computer processor.
Well, we have the old synagogue houses the head-end equipment for GoNet Speed in the basement.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Synagogue counts as a faith community. Thank you. Thought I was crazy for a minute. So we have that coming up. So Downtown Institutes are in person, like 3-hour training opportunities, and then webinars, 45-minute quick learning opportunities before the workday or at lunch. Let's see, we do our best to apply for funding to sub-grant programs that we can capture the funding and we can sub-grant it out. Right now we have a National Park Service funding, Paul Brune Historic Preservation funding. So that means we have $600,000, we just heard in October, to re-grant out to bricks and mortar historic preservation projects in our main streets and our affiliates. I will say in this case, this money, Woodford's Corner can't apply because their population is so big. So, Anne, that might be an issue in Bangor with that particular funding, but we are always looking for other sub-grant opportunities that we can pass through to our communities. Sometimes they're competitive processes like the National Park Service, but we also had a congressionally directed spending request, which was focused on entrepreneur ecosystem work. And that was communities got to opt in to doing that. So different types of things. We also, with our affiliates, do a goal setting session every 3 years where we sit down with the board or the committee and we really look at like a good work plan within those 4 points and with whatever the community is working on. And those are really helpful in laying out like a reasonable path forward for 3 years. We are always writing letters of support for both our municipalities and our downtown organizations for grants that they are applying for. We are happy to do that. We love a little advanced warning as opposed to the night before, but sometimes we'll rally for that too. But it's, I feel like it's incredibly helpful to give you a letter for a grant you're applying for, saying this program is doing this good work, this is economic and community development, you know, and really talk about your communities. We know your communities really well, so they're very personalized. And I like to think they add value to your applications. And then we are always available for questions, you know, text, call, email, message us, we will get back to you. And the questions are across a broad spectrum of how we help. And I think I'm passing it back to Sylvie. No, I'm not. It's me.
You're still on.
The questions.
This one I'm next.
So the questions, literally, how can we convince the municipality that they should give us some money? Do you have sample bylaws? We're thinking of becoming a 501c3. How can we fund certain projects? And do affiliate organizations have staff? That's an ongoing one. Over the years, there was staff in Bucksport and Ellsworth, and Sylvie mentioned Friends of Woodford's Corner, and Lisbon has staff right now. So in general, the majority of the affiliates do not have staff, but they have heavy support from their municipalities. In the case, EJ has a full committee, but he is providing a lot of support. Bridgeton, you know, a municipal program, theoretically, at this point, you guys are forming and you are, you know, leading the effort, Nicole. So lots of different staffing possibilities, but there's not a requirement that you have staff, and we can work with you if you decide you're ready to take that plunge. We have sample job descriptions. We have surveys with the salary ranges, both in Maine and nationally, for this kind of work. So we participate in the search for interviews. We help you set up your timeline for your job search. So anything you ask about, if we don't know it, we will find the answer. So we consider ourselves very responsive and very individualized. We are very proud as a team. We have one more teammate, Perry, in being able to give you exactly what you need. And we feel like that's one of our highest values that we bring to the program. We are happy to come to committee meetings sometimes just to meet your crew and tell them a little bit or encourage them or help them. And we also are happy to review, you know, we've reviewed grants before. We're not, you know, heavily doing that all the time. We just don't have the capacity, but in some cases, people are like, do you have a chance just to be a reader on this grant? It's the first one I've written or something. And we will absolutely do that. We have language in our head that can be really helpful to proposals. Did I miss anything, Sylvie?
I think you got it. And then the next one is talking about that value.
Oh, yeah.
To communicate that for municipalities.
Yeah, so this is a sheet that we did for all of our main streets last year. And this is really meant to show, you know, their value to their elected officials, because they go to their municipalities. Typically, a third of the operating budget comes from the municipality, a third from the local businesses, and a third from the residents and grants. So these are wonderful snapshots of the work that's happened over the year. And that's how they were intended to get used. And we will update them this year with new reinvestment statistics when the Main Streets send them in. And it would be easy to share a template with an affiliate or a municipality who was like, let's really think about this. How many volunteer hours are we capturing? And, you know, did we host any events? And so it's just a great graphic that we would share.
Yeah. So before we dive into like what the affiliate application process is, are there any questions about anything that's been shared so far?
Sylvie, hey, it's Rob Poland.
Hi, Rob.
My question is, what interaction, if any, does an affiliate program have with like a DOT VPI? Do you guys play any role in that? Do you support that?
Great question. Go ahead, Sylvie. You've been working with DOT a lot on the VPI.
Yeah, I think we try to play that intermediary role. So sometimes it's communities coming to us and saying like, gosh, some of this infrastructure is really not working. The lights, the sidewalks, it's just dangerous or in disrepair. And sometimes it's community members that are part of this group that might not be aware that the municipalities actually talking to DOT about a VPI program. And so we're making sure that everyone kind of gets to come to the table and be a part of that process. Sometimes it's that municipality is already underway with a VPI program. They're excellent programs, and DOT is always, solicitous of us in terms of like, is there a downtown group and are they aware, and how can we engage them in this process to make sure that it is encompassing and really holistic. And so they're great programs. I don't know if I'm missing anything there that you want to add on. And
just for anybody who doesn't know, VPI is the Village Partnership initiative that DOT runs. And there are cases where we've gone in communities and we have said, hey, have you talked to DOT? Have you considered a VPI program? And they're like, oh, we don't know about that. So we immediately connect that local program to DOT people. So we're not involved in like selection and play out, but EJ, you went through VPI or are still probably in some aspect of it. And I will say, when we did your site visit for your affiliate, we were like, is VPI focusing on this crosswalk? Because this is dangerous. And you were like, yes, they're going to redesign. So we have really good, real conversations. But EJ, I don't know if you want to add anything.
Sure. Our downtown group has been heavily involved in our VPI. They've kind of been the voice that complements what others are saying, because they have businesses right in the downtown, or they live in downtown, so they see those intersections and the crosswalks, and they've been very helpful in raising that level of community input because they're living it day in, day out. And thanks to Ann, we didn't know about the VPI program till Ann said, hey, check this out. So we're very pleased, and we're in the middle of our planning.
I didn't know that. All right. Thanks, EJ. Great question, Rob.
Yeah. Any other
questions?
Okay. Well, again, feel free to take yourself off mute at any point and jump in, but we will just walk through a little bit of through the affiliate application process. And then we'll also talk about how to become a municipal member, much lower barrier process. But how if you're ready to undertake an affiliate application process is an important place to start, because it's not just an application. You fill it online, you submit it, we get back to you, we say yes or no, and it's not transactional. Ideally, it's collaborative. And as EJ knows, we love the collaboration aspect to this program, as we've already talked about that individualized nature. We want to make sure that when you say, like, if you leave this and say, yes, we are interested in becoming an affiliate program, we want you to let us know right away. We want you to say, yes, we are interested, so that we can set up a Zoom and we can talk about, who's wanting to be involved, and like who else should be at the table, and how can we come up with, does your municipality, are they aware, and how can we help, make sure that if you're not, working with the municipality already, how can we get that relationship to be stronger? And what are some potential funding sources for this kind of undertaking? So we want to be a part of those questions from the beginning, and you kind of sussing out, are you ready to take this on? Or should this be, great, we'll start the work now, and maybe it'll be in 2026 that the application is submitted. Incremental is really the name of the game. But first steps would be, contacting me or Ann, let us know. We would set up a meeting so that we could talk through what that process might look like specifically for you, your group, your community. And then it would be convening this group and making sure you've got that representative kind of cross section of folks who are all invested in the downtown, community members, property owners, business owners, municipal staff, elected officials, even service-oriented groups sometimes can be really important players in the downtown revitalization efforts, or nonprofit groups like a historical society or library or the like. So getting this representative group is a really important piece to the foundation of a successful program, and finding that engagement with this group. So it's not just, okay, we got them all on paper, but is this group really prepared to like come together for some regular meetings and work together on an application? Many voices is what we want to hear and see when we're reviewing applications from affiliates. And we would take a look at the timeline. Here's the general timeline, knowing that the timeline's different depending on the community. So things can shift a little bit. You're all at the affiliate info session, so check, you've done the first step, you're here. And applications would be due in October. And you might think, wow, that's such a long way away from this info session. That's because, again, we want to be a part of supporting you in this application process. Ideally, we're even reading the application like a drafted version in advance, or looking at a certain question and meeting with your group and saying, okay, here, do you need help in fleshing this out or doing some research? And we're going to take a peek at the application in the next slide, but we consider a site visit as a next step after an application is submitted. And it may be that this site visit happens right after that application review. That's how we did it in Old Town, and EJ could tell you about that process. But typically it's a site visit with NBC staff as well as some of our advisory council members. And we have two communities, Waterville and Van Buren, who are currently at the ending stages of their affiliate application process. And I know EJ was really helpful to Luke in Van Buren in terms of the application process and the site visit preparation, really becoming an affiliate. EJ's been a great mentor for Luke. And so we'll talk a little bit about Van Buren learnings. Anne.
One thing to add, which you reminded me of, and I'm thinking of Woodford's Corner and I'm thinking of Bangor, that, you might be thinking about neighborhoods and thinking about that as a possible approach within Bangor. And part of what that timeline that Sylvie just mentioned, like, why is there so much of a long time between January and October? Well, let me tell you why, because Anne, I would want, you or someone on your team to go down to Portland and talk to Friends of Woodford's Corner and really understand how a neighborhood program is maybe the same but different than some of the other affiliates that are whole community downtowns, or making some of those relationships like EJ supporting Luke and Van Buren. So anyway, that's what that time is for. It's like, oh, let's make sure the local program really understands the program and understands why they think it's going to work for them.
I know that Rob just had a conversation with Scott in Norway recently.
Oh,
and
good.
We're scheduling one with Ross in Lisbon, right?
And EJ, you have yourself off mute. Were you going to share something?
Well, I was just going to say we had talked to other downtowns as we were sort of applying, just to get a sense of what it was all about on the ground. So we reached out to Augusta and Skowhegan, and so that's why you said the time gives you the time to do that.
And that's one of the greatest values of this program is the network and engaging in the network. And mentioned the monthly Zooms, the webinars, the in-person trainings and workshops. And it's also the connections that we'll make of, okay, I gave the example, like looking at a farmer's market, talk to a couple communities who have gone through this process, come up against challenges, how have they solved them? Maybe a field trip is warranted, or, Zoom connects us all, but nothing like being boots on the ground in another Main Street or affiliate community. So great. And so typically what comes from that application review and a site visit is a committee report. And once we from our review committee, give a report to the community. Again, it's all very collaborative. There's conversation. There might be some follow-up questions during that site visit or in that review of the application that the community says, or that the review committee says, we want you to look more into this and find out more about this. And I just facilitated a conversation in Waterville, and we said, you know what, instead of the site visit right away, we're going to have a roundtable discussion with this group because this is a new group that's getting together, and they hadn't been having as robust of regular meetings as I think they were hoping to be. And our review committee said, we just want to make sure we're hearing from every voice around this, around this committee. That's a list on a paper, but we're not seeing it reflected in the application necessarily. So let's hear from them. So it was a really great conversation. So again, this process is going to be very collaborative and one that is individualized to make sure that your program is going to be a success once you become designated, because that's our goal, is that you find success. And so that's what we're here for, is to support that. And then after a community gets a designation, usually around this time, again, that's a bit of a moving target. I think our communities this year will probably be early March. Then we're going to look at that next year of scheduling some onboarding, some trainings of great, what's first for this first year? When can we get a date set for that goal setting that looks at 3 years ahead, and make sure that these projects are right sized for coming right out of the gates. Before we take a look through the application, Anne, anything you want to add? Okay, so I'm actually going to switch screens here.
It worked.
Okay, oh great. I forgot that I didn't have to do anything else. Great, you see it.
Yes, we do.
Excellent. Okay, so this is on our webpage. We'll send you a link to this. It's a virtual application. EJ, this is new. We're still in the paper application days when EJ was doing it, well, a PDF, but now we've got a spiffy online application, and you'll see the first page you'll come to actually has just some brief contact information, your name, email. You click next, you come to this, it has some information about a lot of what we're talking about here tonight, about our program, about what it means to be in the affiliate program. We're going to send you some information. I think Perry attached a one-pager about the downtown affiliate downtown program and municipal program. That's what's there. And then, oh no, it took me right here again. So I actually have to sign in here to get you to the rest of the application. Then you'll work through this, and this is something that you'll want to have everything together before you go to submit. It's not a system that can save your progress along the way. So it's something you want to glance at. We can give you a PDF copy if that's easier, but you're going to be looking at the people involved, a description of your downtown boundaries and the character of your downtown as well. What businesses are there? What historic buildings are there? So we're looking for a narrative kind of description of the downtown before some of the streetscapes and a district map, some images here. And this is something that we can work with you on in terms of district boundaries and identifying, well, what should these boundaries be? Because while it doesn't have to be something you're, that everyone has to know, even especially at the affiliate level, it may just be that your group and the downtown center know what your district boundaries are, but it's an important piece of making sure that you're not biting off more than you can chew, and that it is really surrounding a core commercial district that's making up this downtown you're focused on your efforts on.
And I will say one thing to add about the description.
Yeah.
As lovely as it may sound to say, our Main Street is quaint or beautiful, that's lovely. But what we really want to understand, and this requires you to do a little research and go to your historical society or go to the Maine Historic Preservation Commission, our downtown is filled with 19th century, you know, wooden framed buildings that were largely commercial properties or were residential that have been converted. Like we really are looking for like, what's sort of the history? Yes, they're all quaint and beautiful. Sorry.
That's
So
great.
just think about that when you're describing your downtown. I mean, many of you have amazing libraries, for instance, in your downtowns. Like, tell us about them. It's a brick library. It's the centerpiece of our downtown, or our town hall. I mean, all of those good things. That's all.
Excellent. Keep the tips coming. That's what they're here for. Great. So then we're looking at your kind of organizational effort of, you know, what is the committee structure or is the organizational structure for this group? What's the vision you have for your downtown? What do you see if you're successful in this program? What could be? That's what these questions are looking at. And then we're going to look at the foundation of this group and your plans for moving forward in terms of a budget summary, as well as a budget narrative that describes, okay, so if this is what you anticipate in terms of your fundraising goal, how are you going to reach that? How do you anticipate achieving that in this first year? And knowing that you're budgeting for our annual dues for an affiliate program, it's a $750 annual fee. And then for the municipal membership, it's a $500 annual contribution. And oftentimes a TIF can cover that, those dues. And in general, in terms of outlining your fundraising goals, we talk about the three-legged stool and this 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 model of a third of your budget being from the municipality, a third of the budget being from business sponsorships, and then a third coming from community contributions and grants. And while, of course, that varies from town to town to town, this is a model that National even has found as a really sustainable model and a successful model for programs to sustain themselves, you know, through the weathering of municipalities having to tighten their belts or grants coming in, you know, at lower rates and coming up dry. So this model allows for that engagement and of all the members of the community and kind of that representative group, as well as the sustainable sources, diversified sources. Again,
just want to add, like, an affiliate comes in with maybe their annual budget for their first year, anything from like $10,000 to, you know, maybe $40,000. Like, it's really modest, but it's using all the tools and the diversification of funding strategies, just like you would if you had a $300,000 budget. You know, we don't want to see a municipality say, oh, we're going to give them $10,000 their first year. Well, if you're going to give it to them the first year, what's the plan for the second year? Are you going to train those volunteers to start raising money from the community and from other sources? You got to show us that. Or you're like, well, we're going to give them 8 the first year and they're going to raise 2. You know, like, really think this through and we can help you do that.
That's great. And then we want to hear, you know, from communities. For example, Kingfield is on the call, and Kingfield had an application and was a part of our program previously. So we want to know, have you kind of looked into that? What is the history of your community and their downtown efforts, whether you've been a part of the Maine Downtown Center program or you've had a different group or, you know, a group not connected to us working on the downtown. So these have some additional questions. If you select yes, it'll pop up to just explain, tell us more about what have these downtown efforts been. And then in addition to a kind of a pledge written out, also letters of support can be a really strong and important piece of an affiliate application, because that's looking at, you know, can we hear from the municipality? Can we hear from maybe the Chamber of Commerce, if that's an active organization? Who, you know, what are some other nonprofits, if it's, you know, the library that's in that old historic building? Why do they see value in this program, and how could they participate and benefit? So those letters of support, we ask for no more than 3, but those can be a really important way to amplify those voices.
If it makes sense, I'm happy to answer Betsy's question in the chat.
Please, I missed
So
it. Thanks.
yes, Betsy, Bangor is what, one of 2 or 3 bids in the state of Maine? I forget, 2. Right, Portland has one as well. Bid Business Improvement District, and it is a different funding model. And yes, it is completely allowable. I will say nationally, when we travel to the national conference, there are so many bid districts that do this work. And so our team might need to get a little bit more up and running on how that would work. I know Kerry Tyson, who's the director of Portland Downtown, and he's on our advisory council, and he is largely funded through a bid. He's not part of our program formally, but yes, we would absolutely completely figure that out with you. And I think you're lucky, and it's a great opportunity for you guys, honestly.
Yeah, thank you. That's kind of what I was thinking too.
Yeah.
That's great. And then the last piece here is there is an application fee. So you can submit that with the application. And then this comes to us and we get back to our timeline. So next, Anne is going to talk a little bit about Van Buren and what their process looked like. And I'm also aware we have 6 minutes until 5 o'clock.
Okay, and how many slides do we have left? Let's see.
We have a few. I wonder if we skip over Van Buren unless there's any
Totally
highlights.
fine. Yeah, talk about the municipal program.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do
So
that.
I think we covered everything, but I am going to tell you Van Buren was really fun, and it's been a great application process, and I'll leave it at that. Talk about municipalities, municipal members. And that's me. Right?
Yeah.
We started the municipal program, I think 3 or 4 years ago. We felt like there was just a place where organizations or communities were like, I don't know about that affiliate. It's too much too soon. So we started this new area of work, and it's incredibly successful. We have 4 communities right now. We bring them together a couple times a year so they can collaborate and understand. Bye, EJ. Thanks for coming. We'll send people to talk to you. So the municipal program is meant to be that baby step, and we are happy to connect with you if you feel like this is a good match for you. It's low barrier, but allows us to give you some technical assistance, meet with your committee. I think we're spending more time with Winthrop right now in the hopes that maybe they will decide to become an affiliate someday. We're certainly looking forward to getting to know the new EDD in Bridgeton a little bit more as well. So anyway, what else am I missing on that? Well, you still have a letter of agreement. Your dues are $500. You don't have access to the sub-grant programs as a municipal member, but you get discounts to any of our trainings and some free trainings. I think that's it on the municipal, right?
And how to become a municipal member, it's low barrier. So it's really contacting Anne or I, and we have a standard kind of contact form that we'll have you submit. And then we will ask for a signed letter of agreement with the membership fee. Again, could be paid through a TIF, and we'll get started from there.
Yeah, low barrier, just a way to get some good concrete technical assistance from us, more than we're able to give you when you just call on the phone needing one thing. That's the municipal program in a nutshell. And I will turn it back to Sylvie.
I think we unfortunately won't have time for this discussion, although we would, we're always eager to hear from you all. But if this demonstrates that this is what we really want to be doing is hearing from you all. So let's just open it up to questions. We can always, circle back to conversation. Actually, before I open it for conversation, I'm going to highlight our events. We're going to send this out in the wrap-up email in terms of the flyer of events, as well as a link to this placekeeping webinar. This is coming up on February 7th. And for participating, we have a comp code for all of you who are not already municipal members. So MDC free is going to be the comp code, all capital. We'll send that out with a link to register with the follow-up notes. But this is going to be a 45-minute learning opportunity. If you register, it'll be recorded, so we can send you the recording if the timing doesn't work for you. But
yeah, come see what it's all about is the point. Just see what you think, and again, the schedule. So we'll send all of that out.
Yeah.
Questions?
Yeah. What questions do you have?
We have been to Booth Bay, Lisa. I've been a couple times meeting with people, and Abby Levin, I don't know if you know her. She's on our advisory council and has been for many years.
Nice. Yeah, I saw her not too long ago, and she was going to try to stop by, so I probably need to reach out to her, but I've been really busy too. But yeah, I think it was before we got into Booth Bay Lights, and she was like, I'm going to come by and see you. So
Great.
Not a question. I've got a hard stop as well, but thank you both very much. Great information. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Rob.
Rob.
Nice meeting y'all.
You too.
Thank
Any other
you.
questions or comments? It's pretty straightforward. We try to make it really accessible. So just let us know if you have questions. You know, Bangor would love to talk to you about whether you're thinking about, you know, a large district, or you're thinking about a few neighborhood districts, or how you're thinking about it, or we can brainstorm with you.
Yeah, that would be great. We'd love to schedule a time for you to come up and meet with Betsy and I and a few other folks.
Yeah, that'd be
That would be
great.
great.
That's really the first step, is like, let's get together and come up. So we are happy to do that, and just let us know and when your group wants to do it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that'd be fun. No problem, Polly. We're excited to have Kingfield back in the discussion. Great. Well, thank you all for
Thank
coming,
you.
and we can hang out as people are departing if someone wants to stay and ask us a couple questions. Bye, Whitney.